Hey, it's Friday, December 29th. It is actually 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, not 11 a.m., the time we normally do this show, but my son's got a basketball game today, so I'll be taking him to that. But there's no other place I'd rather be at to the end of the year. But here with you, trying to figure out this thing called life. We want to run successful, profitable businesses, preferably martial arts schools, but we also want to be whole. Holistically, I'm big on the mindset. I'm big on creating balance in my life. And there's no sense having all that money and being an upset, unbalanced, pissed off individual, right? So for me, they go hand in hand, that whole process of cultivating a successful business. But who are we? I'm Brannon Beliso, and this is Success Never Sleeps, where, as I just shared, we are a collective. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, we're available at YouTube. You can watch episode after episode. I think this year in 2023, we've only missed one or two shows and had to offer you reruns. So I'm very blessed with that. Hey, Roy, what's happening? Roy from Miami. I'm sure people on the East Coast are loving this because it's only 11 a.m. And there's my camera going in and out. I don't know why it does that. I'm going to have to, maybe by now they make a better camera, but it is what it is. I want to start by thanking my sponsors. They've been with me for years now, my sponsors, and I'm so grateful to have them as part of the team. Everything is awesome. Where is that, Marco? Let's pop that up there. We have Market Muscles, we have Tusaw, we have My Studio, we have Kids Love Life Skills, we got LC Accounting, all people that I work with. Somebody said the other day, well, I wasn't happy with so and so. And my reply to them was, his life's not perfect. My son and I had this conversation about basketball. Our Warriors are struggling, and the best player ever has been shooting like crap the past couple of games, and that's life. There's good days and there's bad days. I think what's most important for me, no matter who I'm working with, be it Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting, or Tucson, is the value of the relationship. Because when you hit a wall, when you go through some tough times, are they the people you want to do it with? I mean, it's that simple. And if they're not, that's a whole nother conversation because we'll work through the uniforms not being as dark as they should be, or a logo being slightly to the left, or your software going down, or there's a glitch, or there's a mistake in my accounting, but we won't get through it unless we have a strong relationship. So all of these people are not only my sponsors, they're my friends. They're my friends. They're people I do life with who could call me at any time, who I can call at any time. And I don't want to say, in a primitive way, they've got my back, but I do know they're always a phone call away. Cool. So when you're out there looking, recognize every time you jump ship and go from one website company to another, you're literally starting over. People talk about data conversion. It's so simple. No, it's not. Plus, it's a huge learning curve with a new CRM system. Plus, you move to a different character development system. So all those things happen and you're always stopping just to start again. So be really mindful of that when you look at these different companies to help grow your business, that they are relationships you are at least willing to invest in. Cool. All right. So as you come aboard, say hi. Let me know that you're here. We decided to piggyback off last week's show of Brannon in the hot seat, right? Questions were coming left and right last week, and I was so excited about all the questions. Hey, what's up, Miss Monique? Miss Monique, who we love, Roy, my buddy from Florida. We decided to piggyback and do it again. I've got some questions I didn't answer last week. I'll get to today as well. What's happening last 2 days of the year? I am going to post the link later tonight for It's Time Live Canada. Those of you who want to join us in Canada, only 20 spots for 4 days, right? Get the tax write-off now before the end of the year, right? We were just having that discussion today. Someone asked me, do you always make money in the stock market? No, no, no. That's silly. I was Googling it today. You know how many billions Warren Buffett has lost in the stock market, but you know how many billions he's made, right? So it's the same thing here. If you're in a small business right now, if you choose to be an entrepreneur, if you're not ready to lose money, then get out of the game. Again, much like basketball, some days you're going to win, some days you're going to lose. But like I say to my son all the time, you better love that freaking game, especially when it's not good to you, right? When you're shooting like crap, when nothing's going right, you better love that game because that's all you've got. in those moments, right? To carry you through when you're having a bad game. It's the same thing here. I've made a lot of money in business, but I've lost some money too. Fortunately, I've made more money than I've lost, is why I'm in the position I'm in. But make no mistake, whether it's the stock market, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's owning a business, you are going to lose. But failure is part of the process. Sometimes I do my best learning lying flat on my face because I learn quickly, I learn swiftly, I make adjustments, course correction, and I'm off to the next thing. It's the same thing here. But that is why that whole component of knowing your why, mine is live your best life, knowing who you are, because it's very easy if you're an insecure, right? With no confidence, no self esteem, the minute somebody rocks your boat, you fall apart. You fall apart. Now, the yin to the yang of that is don't be this insecure, egotistical know it all where you anchor yourself in that when things go wrong. When things start to go wrong, I reach out to all of my mentors, I reach out to all of my resources, but ultimately, I have to be good with me because I got to wake up with me. I got to go to bed with me. I have to live with me 24/7, 365. So if I'm not good with me, then I'm not able to weather any of those storms. Now, that was a little bit of a tangent, but people ask me that all the time, all the time, all the time. Cool. So it's Time Life Canada. Post that one, Marco. As I shared later tonight, I'll post the link for that. That's May 25th through 28th. I'll be up there in Canada. And then I also have November 9th through the 11th or 12th for It's Time Life Purpose here in Millbury, California, 5 minutes from SFO. So both of those things are going on. Now, you wonder why the slides aren't popping up fast? Marco is potty training his son. And his wife's at work, so Marco's there. So those slides, they'll come when they come, but please bear with us on that. So what's coming up? It's Time Life Canada, May 25th to 28th, and it's Time Life Purpose. So Brannon in the hot seat. I had lots of questions come at me, and I'm going to try to hop in a few. I'm going to start with the ones I didn't answer last week. So how much of success is mindset versus knowledge, training, skill, set, business? Well, it's kind of like martial arts. We can talk theory all day long, right? Let's call that mindset. I have this mindset in my mind, this technique is going to work, yada, yada, yada. Until I get on the mat and apply it, it means nothing, nothing, right? Until I'm willing to get in the game and shoot that damn ball, it's just theory. I can tell you I'm the best basketball player in the world. Until I get out there and play, that's the one it matters. When I watched Steph Curry last night, I think he went like 5 for 15, horrible stats. You know what? He's still Steph Curry. And that's the cool thing about that. You can't take away his 4 championships. You can't take away that he changed the game. He was having a rough night and he played through it. So that's where the mindset comes in, but you still got to walk the talk. You still got to apply it. You still got to go through the steps. That's the big thing. I can't just be famous in my own mind. So, yeah, I think in answer to that question, it's a balance. Knowledge is applied learning, right? Well, wisdom is. So knowledge, let me break that down. I learned something. That's just information. I apply it. That's knowledge. The mistakes, the pivots, when you adapt and adjust, that's wisdom, right? And it's hard to get to that point of wisdom because most people are still stuck in just the learning, which you'll constantly do. I'm always learning. I'm always learning. I'm always learning. But if I'm not applying that, that learning never becomes knowledge. And if I don't commit to that knowledge, right? Commit to it and see it through, I'll never have the wisdom to say that sucks. It doesn't work. It does work. Here's what I learned. What happens is people take learning and they get partway into knowledge and then they jump ship, right? Just because it didn't work that day, or they can't have enough vision to see what it's going to look like in 3 years, in 5 years, right? You ever sit there and practice and practice and practice and don't think you're getting better? And then one day you're better. How did that magically happen? Incrementally in little steps, little steps. Hey, Eric, what's happening? Eric, how are you, sir? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. So that's the answer to that. Cool. Let's look at the next question. If you knew then what you know now, what's one thing you'd advise the business owner looking to move the needle? Well, there's a couple of philosophies there. I was doing an interview in England, and somebody asked me, You're so wise, you're 60 years old. What would you tell your 20-year-old self? And my first answer was nothing. And they go, well, what do you mean? I said, because I don't want to mess up that 20-year-old game. Let him be stupid and be a knucklehead and make his own mistakes. That's how I became a man. I made my own mistakes and I lived with them, right? It would have been nice to have a mentor, but I didn't have a parental figure. So I had to figure out a lot of that stuff on my own, which isn't like poor me, poor me. It was actually a fast track in many ways. But if I were to talk to a young business owner today, I'd say you need to understand your skill set. That's the biggest thing I see lacking in our industry. Somebody's a black belt doesn't make you a good instructor. A good instructor doesn't make you a good small business owner. A good small business owner doesn't make you a good entrepreneur, right? And they're four different skill sets completely. Completely. And I see so many businesses stagnate or fail or don't grow because the owner lacks a skill set, whether it's a success mindset, whether it's understanding the fundamentals of bookkeeping, whether it's understanding the fundamentals of lease negotiation, you know, branding, social media, basic law in their county, all of that, all of that, all of it, all of it, all of it. So, I think it's starting from a very humble place and knowing that. Now, you want to talk logistics? Number one, take a business course. Go to your community college or online and take a fundamental business course. Because if you don't write a business plan, you're not even in the game. You've got to write a business plan. That way you see, all the projections. You do a SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, all of it. Write a freaking business plan. Write a business plan and then write an organizational chart, even if it's just you, owner, janitor, instructor, social media. You wear all those hats. You can begin to see where you're going to prioritize as you grow revenue, what you're going to outsource. And then, of course, job descriptions, position agreements, right? The first one you write is to replace you on the map. Number one, because that question, if you get sick or hurt and couldn't work a day in your life, how long would it be before your business was closed? Number one is teaching. The rest you can farm out bookkeeping, front desk, admin. You can farm out all of that. Janitorial. You can't farm out the instruction, especially if you're a specific style like mine, Kenpo. So I gratefully have a team that could teach if I couldn't teach, but they get paid really well. And I think that's the other big thing is recognizing you're in the martial arts business. Okay, what's the key word? Business. If you do not create a company people want to work for, they have to go somewhere else, whether they want to stay with you or not. You need to have a 401k retirement program. You need to have a medical stipend. You need to have vacation with pay. You need to have competitive pay. So many people in our industry pay so poorly because they want to say they have a bigger, net at the end of the year. I had a 50% net. Yeah, you have 50% net of what? $100,000? I'd rather have a 35% net of 2 million. You see where I'm going with that? The average McDonald's owner makes about $2 million a year, but he only personally takes home $150,000. But he doesn't have to be there. So it's a passive income stream, right? Much like my choice to invest in the stock market with Sam. I recognize it's passive income, but it's work. I wake up every day at 6 in the morning and I work with Sam and, do what we do. And I realize that's a job too. So that's the long and short of that. That's what I would tell my young self. Read E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Read Good to Great by Jim Collins. Right? There's so many books you should be reading. The Mindset by Carol Dweck. Right? But don't be just a professional student. You want to get to that point of wisdom, learning, applied learning becomes knowledge, knowledge through mistakes, adjustments, pivots, adaptation. That's the wisdom. And that is why I've been successful for 24 years and continue to do so. Brannon, I would like to call you. I plan on launching a beverage and would like your input on a presentation, marketing, etc. I'll call you soon. Who is that? Who's launching that beverage? Curious to know. And are you looking for investment money? Are you going to bootstrap it and do it yourself? Right? Do you want to put some deck together like Shark Tank? I think Shark Tank is great for what it is, but again, that's TV, man. That's not the real world. All right, cool. Yeah, it's not the real world, Roy. You're not going to go on to Shark Tank and have them sample it and do some song and dance and sell, 6% of your company for 250K. If you can bootstrap it yourself, number one, I would do that. But the number one question is why? In the world of beverages, there's billions of beverages, so many. That market, just do your study, Roy. For every one that hits, like Propel or freaking, I don't know, 5 Hour Energy drink, whatever's out there are hundreds of thousands of drinks that fail. So you got to ask yourself, what makes your drink different? And is there a market to support it? Right? If you had to take your drink, and who's going to drink this? Okay. I know in the Philippines, everybody drinks freaking Coke, right? A lot of Asian countries just drink Coke, 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 and more Coca Cola. Whereas here, it's not that big. So again, who's your market, right? Who are you catering to? And then where are you going to begin? Write a business plan. Where are you going to be in 1 year? How much money by year 3? How much money by year 5? Because if you're going to present a deck to investors, they need to see something. And it has to be comparable, Roy. Meaning to say, if you're going to produce this drink and no one's ever had this drink, well, then you're going to say, well, this drink over here, Gatorade, is much like my drink, but this is what makes my drink different. And here's where Gatorade started. Here's where Gatorade in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? If they have something to compare it to, because you have no real numbers to show them, right? So you have to have something comparable to share and offer. Let's see what Marco's saying. Okay. I have slides now for It's Time Live. All right. So let's see what's your next question. Put in your questions, please. I'd love to answer them for you. And as you come aboard, say hello. I know it's early in the morning, so I'm curious to know who got up this early. Who are the loyal people that got up and joined us when we normally come on at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're here at 8:30. 8:30. So when somebody asked me that question, have you ever lost money in investing? And I said, what? It was almost a silly question because you will lose money. The fact that we think a stock will always turn around and come back is silly. It's just freaking silly, right? When a stock drops, some stocks never come back. Or even worse, they fall into what's called a channel. And I learned about that recently, where you watch a stock do this. It just stays right here for years, literally for years. So I have to ask myself sometimes, well, all right, I'll take a $2,000 loss on this stock because it's stuck in that channel. It's not going anywhere. It's been there for months. But now I freed up $11,000 to invest in something else, right? But we all have this emotional kinship to stocks, and we don't look at a loss as a gain. I shared that again with my son yesterday. He was driving down the court and he stopped and he reversed. He backed up. So it made the defense relax, because he's known for driving really fast and the fast break. And he stopped and he backed up about 5 feet. He literally turned around and went the other way. 5 feet. The whole defense collapsed. It's like they took a collective breath and sat back on their heels. He turned around and shot and made the layup. See, sometimes business is the same way. They call it the slingshot. Sometimes you feel like you're stepping back. You're losing ground in your business, like pulling back that rubber band on a slingshot, and then boom, you release and you fly forward. I've done that. I've sold a stock and lost a couple of thousand, then turn around, invested it somewhere else, and made back 5,000. You see where I'm going with that? Life and business is pretty much the same way. And as I learn more and more about investing, and I spend my time investing, I've really come to understand that about it. I have no emotional connection to a stock. And if you think Apple's the only great stock out there, you're insane. There's a lot of great stocks. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the stock market, right? You walk into a market, look how many different foods are there, right? It's a market. And there's a lot of different stocks which, do much better than Apple, much better. And all the things I learned working with Sam on. Um, Another question that came across the place, I'm always studying data. I always study data. I watch the news. I look at world situations because do I think it's going to impact our industry? Absolutely. Because we are not a necessity to most people. We are not a necessity. Be extremely mindful of that, okay? Very, very, very mindful of that. I know in our own minds, famous in our own minds, we would love to believe everybody needs martial arts. No, they don't. No, they don't. We should position our business that way through storytelling, right? And social media and everything else. But make no mistake, If I have to feed my kids or put them in martial arts, I'm going to feed my kids. If I have to pay my rent or put my kids in martial arts, I'm going to pay my rent. And what we're witnessing right now, and I think it's such a huge illusion, is consumer spending is at an all-time high. Okay, write this down. Consumer spending is at an all-time high, but consumer credit card debt is at an all-time high. Hey, Letitia, my sister's there. LC Accounting. I'm going to give her a little plug. If you need a great bookkeeper, please reach out to my sister. And I say that, yeah, I know I'm a little biased because I love her and she looks out for me every day. I mean, I can't tell you. I can never say it enough how much my sister Letitia looks out for me to keep me on the straight and narrow, right? Because there's way too many things going on in my life. So again, if you want to, what would I tell any young business? Get a great bookkeeper. Spend the money on a great bookkeeper. And even more than that, freaking listen to them. See, we talk about that trust. Listen to them. I still, before I make any kind of big investment or spending, I'll tell her, what do you think? Where are we at? You know, she turns over every rock and she'll do the same thing in January. I'm sending her already stuff on new tax laws. Is this going to affect us? How's this? What's that? And some of it's scam, it's scam mail. Others she'll go, me, that's just scam, dude. But I send her everything because I don't have the time to do that type of research. And she does, right? She does. But she does it through the lens of an educated bookkeeper, right? Hey, Bob Poole, what's up, my brother? Goals, martial arts. And so in relationship to that, sometimes be willing to take several steps back. I know it feels like you're losing, right? But you're not. You're not. Sometimes whenever I've regrouped, as they say, or take a couple of steps back in my work or sell a stock at a supposed loss, so I have, 10, 11,000 to put somewhere else, I normally catapult forward. But again, Google it. Warren Buffett loses billions sometimes on a stock. But you have to know when to hold them. Like Kenny Rogers said, you got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to run, right? Life is just that way. Again, going back to that original question by Miss Monique, if I know who I am and I know what my mindset is, a loss is a learn, right? What am I going to do after I lose? I can't go back in time and change it. So the best thing I can do is learn from it. But if I don't know who I am, I'm not grounded in me, that loss can totally destroy my life, right? So I want you to be extremely mindful of that. Cool? All right, keep those questions coming in. Keep them coming in. Eric, Monique, Bob, what do you need as we wrap up this year, as we come to the end of this year? What burning desire, what question sits on your palate that you absolutely need answered? And while you do that, I want to address another small challenge that I had. Social media is just that. It's social media. And I think the big shift for me that I'm witnessing from some newcomers in the industry, as well as, tried and true people like, Dojo Muscle, Chris Pirelli, I've been blessed to work with a social media company for the past 9 months. Now they came aboard in wisdom, and so I consulted them. So I've been in the fabric of their business, helping them write systems, position agreements, establish their brand. But I really learned about how social media behaves, and more 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 and more, true long-term social media people that have stood the test of time are talking about you need to tell stories. If word of mouth is the best way to get new business, how do you put that word of mouth into a social media post? Right? Because this churn and burn mentality, you go to a new social media company. Tell me if I'm wrong. Every social media company you go to, man, they're like, gang, just boom, right away. Lead, 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 lead. And what? Within 3 months, those numbers drop dramatically. They drop. They drop. You know why? Stock photos, nowadays, AI generated copy, AI generated Santa Clauses, just nothing to emotionally connect you to a buyer other than scarcity, only 20 spots, low price, 19.99, right? Three classes and a uniform, things like that. Scarcity, low price, that is not the reason to uh, invest, right? And somebody wrote that yesterday. I thought it was really wonderful. Um, One of the things to live by. If you're not going to buy your own product, don't sell it. If you don't use that product, don't sell it, right? Same thing here. If you don't practice the martial arts you teach, you don't believe in the martial arts you teach, don't sell it. That's why I don't understand why people have a third degree black belt in Taekwondo and I go to their school to consult them, and they have everybody's programs, including mine. And I'm not shooting them down. I just think they need to be like fondant on a cake, right? The cake should be the core martial arts system you believe in. But I'll walk into these environments, and their entire schedule is literally this acrobatic martial arts, this parkour dude, this excellent ducks pre-K program, this, and I look and I say, what do you have a black belt in? And I go, well, I'm a third degree Taekwondo. Why don't you teach that? Because I wasn't making money in it. Maybe it wasn't what you were teaching, it's the how and why, right? I love Kenpo, very complicated system. We've spent decades, refining and redefining it, getting it to a point where we really are loyal to the essence of Kenpo, but we've been able to scale it to over 1,000 students in 2 locations. So again, really think about those types of things. And that's why I'm always discussing the why. What is the why? Why do I want to come to you versus Joe Karate down the street? What is your purpose? What are your core values? If you don't build something that people can believe in, then you're just asking people to buy into it. And nobody that buys into something is going to be loyal to you what you do. Nobody will. Absolutely nobody. So getting people to believe is what it's about, right? What it's about. That's why last night, even though Steph Curry had a suck night, I believe in Steph Curry. So hell or high water, I'm going to back up Steph Curry. Does that make sense? So, loyalty is something that can only be bred if people believe in what you do. Now, is it loyalty to fault? Yeah, look at these crazy ass cults, where people are killing themselves and doing weird ass stuff, right? That's fanatic. That's just crazy, unbalanced thinking. But to believe when there's nothing left to believe in, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's a happy ending at the end of the movie. It's Avengers Endgame when they finally beat Thanos. That's where the magic happens. That's why the holidays are so big. People believe, right? And when people can believe in something, the potential is unlimited. Hey, Master June, how are you, sir? Okay, Bob. If you have 5 social media sites you post on, should you rotate your post between all 5 on a weekly basis and post 5 new the following week? Rinse and repeat. Using your Meta business platform is fine. I would eventually, if you're serious about it, plug into something like Hootsuite, because Hootsuite, some of those platforms allow you to schedule posts out, Bob, and they'll go to Google, Instagram, Facebook, you know, Snapchat, TikTok. It'll hit all of them, LinkedIn. It'll hit them all at once. I think the challenge with those, and be very mindful, is that each native platform is different. You put a Facebook sized picture at Instagram, it's going to look like shit, right? Instagram, you should be doing reels. Facebook, everybody should be doing reels. Tell me you're all doing reels, right? I hope you're doing reels, and you better do those reels with captions because most people watch videos with the sound off, right? Just fundamental basic things like that. If I'm going to go into Google and Google doesn't dig any of that shit, Google's really plaid, right? I mean, plaid, it's just so homogenized, but Google serves its purpose because if I'm going to search for something right now, I go to Google, right? So I want to be mindful of that. I think the discipline, the better answer to that, Bob, is the discipline of posting regularly is super important. So 3 to 5 posts a week, and they could be the same post across all these different platforms, but just be mindful. Instagram does better with reels. Facebook is pushing their reels. Google, not so much on video. You want to load lots of pictures, you want to update your schedule, you want to post offers, you want to be very, native to the environment that you're posting in. That's the biggest thing I see wrong. When I see someone take a Facebook post, now sometimes it'll resize it. I've seen that because Instagram is owned by Facebook. But again, little tweaks like you better not put a link in the copy at Instagram. It doesn't go anywhere, right? Little things like that, Bob. The more you understand the social media platform you're posting to, the better the algorithms will read you and you'll rank higher, right? You'll get more eyes on you. I've really spent the past couple of months honing in my social media for Brannon as a brand. And for me, my personal page has over 5,000 followers. My business page has over 5,000 followers. I utilize both of them heavily. But what I've learned to do with my personal page a little bit, Bob, is I will post family stuff. I was really against doing anything with my family or my personal life, but then I might as well just have a business page, right? I think the personal part makes me accessible, brings a human kinship. I'm just mindful, right? If you attack me, which people do every day, and I know this is a little bit of a tangent, I'm just going to love, block, and delete you because I don't know who you are in Florida. And honestly, you don't feed my kids, you don't pay my rent. So it doesn't matter to me what you have to say. Doesn't mean that I'm closed minded, doesn't mean I'm a smoke and mirrors guy. Not at all. Not at all. Just, I don't even know you. So why am I going to engage you on that level? You could be just some crazy psycho. Who knows? So that discipline that comes with being part of social media is very important. I also limit my time at social media. I go to the post, like, and comment. You must be liking other people's stuff. You must be commenting. That's why it's called social media. Social media. So the two go hand in hand for me, and I'm mindful of that. Again, I've cultivated a six-figure consulting business just off social media alone. So it is a beast. There's that double-edged sword. You can sit there and go off on a tangent. I watch people sit there and argue over some technique or something. I go, wow, dude, how do you have all that time to post this mini, 5,000 word essay or something? You've been sitting there arguing with somebody for hours, literally hours. They'll go back and forth. And when are you ever working on your business? So that's the addiction that comes with it because people like the dopamine dump, right? When they get a bunch of likes and views and comments and things like that. Well, I don't care. I don't care whether you like or view my stuff because I'm posting it based upon my why. Live your best life, right? If I can help one school owner, and I learned that when I read the book, The Mindset. This writer was afraid to launch a book. And Carol Dweck, their mentor, said, if even one person's going to read your book, freaking write it. Even if one person, write it. Write that damn book. And so for me, I'm ever mindful. When I post on social media, if just one of you use it to say, I'm not doing that, or use it to move the needle and grow your business and your life, I'm a happy camper. I'm a happy camper. I'm always about quality versus quantity. That's why I'm not into the burn and churn of some of these social media companies. I'd rather you learn to become a great storyteller. I'd rather you learn to get in front of the camera, right? Your iPhone, and learn to write stuff. That is going to serve you so much better than anything else. Because Bob, you're trying to control a 3 to 5 mile radius, of what you're trying to do. You don't have some freaking product like a shoe cleaner and you got to, you know, blast it out to billions of people so you get 100 sales. It's not that. Remember, you're only trying to control a 3 to 5 mile radius of your brick and mortar location. So, in your social media strategy, or better yet, let's call it your relationship strategy, how much community work are you doing, Bob? How many booths do you have out there? How many in-house relationship building, not lead generation, relationship building events are you producing? All of that. Because I don't market one way to 70 people. I market 70 ways to 70 people. And for me, it's always going to be about building the relationship. Cool? I know, right? I know. So with all those social media sites, Bob, ask yourself, who's your audience, right? And every social media platform will dangle a carrot. TikTok's dangling the carrot. I'm still not a big TikToker, but some people might say you're leaving money on the table. I'm not into Snapchat. I'm not into TikTok for my businesses. Most moms are Instagramming it. Most moms are still living at Facebook. That's fine. But any real consumer, I think for the most part, is sitting at Google. They're looking because they're inspired. I want to buy a new car. Google it, right? So I want to be mindful of who my avatar is and what are their needs are and how I position my business as the business to fulfill that need. Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right. So as we roll through this, please keep those questions coming in. We're only going to be here till about 9:30, right? I'm grateful that you guys chose to get up and come hang out with me. Master Kim, I hope you had a great holiday. A couple weeks from now, I'm going down to Huntington Beach for a Roland Osborne's black belt testing. So I'm going to get to sit on his panel, and I don't call it judging. I get to sit on a panel and grade people. But when I'm down there, Master June, I'm going to hang out with Teho Kwan. Yep. We talk about relationships. I called him the other day, and we haven't talked in a while. And he answered my call and hello, my friend, and it's just so cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, Master Kim. Was it the 1998 Olympics that he won or the 1988? Anyways, he's a gold medalist from Korea in Taekwondo. I don't know what year he won the gold medal. Somebody look it up and tell me. But he got me to eat a Korean stew that had bugs in it. What stew is that, Master Kim? So I'll get to spend some time with him and look at his goals and just give him a big hug. I miss him. He's another good soul. You connect with people sometimes, and Master June is another one. I think Master June is one of the greatest people in the world. He's always been so kind, and the story I share all the time. And this is where the true Buddha spirit often shines through. Plus, I realize I'm getting older. I was at the New York, New York. I was getting ready to go get on the plane. I come out of my elevator with my luggage and stuff, right? And I'm walking to check out. I run into Master June and a couple other people. Master June grabs my luggage. He waits for me while I check out. Then he walks me out to the Uber, puts my stuff into the cab. He didn't have to do that. He didn't. He could have been going to breakfast or doing something else, but maybe he was feeling sorry for me because I'm getting older. But he did, right? And I would do the same thing though. I would do the exact same thing. And Master June, you're always such a good, kind soul. And I remember little things like that, sir. I do. I do. I do. Next question. Go ahead and post it in the comments. Mark, if you got anything you want to text me, share that. Otherwise, I'll continue to answer some of the questions that have came to me in the past that I haven't had the opportunity to answer for people. All right. Have And as you're coming aboard, say hello, because at the end of this broadcast, we're giving away 1 hour of consulting with me. What a great time to tune up for the new year, right? I do a lot of consulting calls. I spend a lot of time at Zoom. I spend a lot of time on the phone. It's kind of like, retainer. You don't need a lawyer 24/7, 365, but spending an hour on the phone with a good lawyer before you make a business decision is often a really smart thing. So a lot of people will come to me and hire me for an hour, and we'll just spend an hour on the phone talking about what they're going through. Ultimately, you have to make your decision, but sometimes having a sounding board, somebody you think that's knowledgeable, that has some proven success, and who you share core values with, belief systems with. Because if we share similar beliefs and I offer you advice, there's a better chance that you're going to take that advice and run. Make sense? It does. Cool. Another big question that I get a lot, is all about the CRM systems, the websites, what they should do. And again, like I said at the top of the broadcast, and I'll say it again, it's really the relationship. If you're going to be using somebody's CRM system, be ready for updates, be ready for upgrades all the time. I just saw Stephen Reinstein post for Market Muscles. I'm getting ready. I've been in the lab working on the newest versions of Market Muscles because the terrain changes all the time. If you're using a website that hasn't changed in any shape, way, or form for the past 5 to 10 years, run. If you're working and using a CRM system that's had no really fundamental upgrades for decades, run. Look at your own iPhone. How often do we get an update on our iPhone? All the time. That is an earmark of a great SaaS company. In anything that's tech based, there should always be glitches. There should always be upgrades. There should always be challenges because that's an earmark of growth. But once they get through that beta testing, once they get through those challenges, guess what? You can have an even better product. And like I learned at Harvard, get it out is better than get it perfect, especially when it comes to software. You got to try it, you got to test it, you got to get feedback. You can't just do that in a lab. You got to put it out there. It's the same thing here. So that type of mindset, I think, kills so many small businesses, especially martial arts schools. Number one, They don't want to deal with data conversion, right? Moving all their students into the new software or doing all the work once the website's up and running. Number two, and this is the big one, invest in the learning curve. I watch people go off on my studio. I watch people go off on market muscles. And all they had to do was watch a damn video. One freaking video. That's all they had to do. But because, and I posted this in a video yesterday, that sense of entitlement. If you want to be successful, stop it. Get out of that mindset of entitlement. You believe because you pay market muscles or you pay my studio that you're entitled to be a butthead when something doesn't go right. Well, all you had to do is educate yourself, look into the resources. I'm always telling my team the same thing. Open a ticket. Open a ticket. Well, they take too long to respond. What? In your mind, they take too long to respond? What is a reasonable response time? I would say 48 hours, 2 solid business days. And if they don't reply, I open another ticket. And that's part of the relationship, right? That's part of the relationship. And if you're not willing to invest in that relationship, then every time it doesn't go your way, because you're entitled, because you pay for it, right? You're going to jump ship and go to another digital media company. You're going to jump ship and go to another CRM system. You're going to jump ship and go to another website. Okay. Let's pull our covers back. How many of you have been with more than one website company? Okay. How many have been with more than one CRM system? How many have been with more than one digital media company? See, I can raise my hand every freaking time. Every freaking time. Every freaking time. You know, I think for me, it's really important to, at some point, learn that the relationship is what's more valuable because nothing is perfect. You'll have good months in business, you'll have bad months in business. You have good years in business, and you'll have bad years in business. Sometimes your relationship is on an upswing, sometimes your relationships are on a downswing. That is life. And if you're not ready to embrace that, then every time something doesn't go your way, you spend a huge amount of energy just dwelling on it. Even worse, you go to 50 different people trying to justify your feelings and your actions and why you feel this way. You post it everywhere on social media like you're a victim. That's not going to get the work done. I refuse to post this on social media. Poor me. Everybody give me sympathy, please. And then I sit there for a couple of days, and when I could have been doing the work to solve the challenge I'm faced with. Make no mistake, you will lose money. You will have misunderstandings. It's part of life, but it's even more in line with running a small business. What I choose to do with that, the learning, what I can do better, is really important. But sometimes the simple humility of recognizing I can't serve you. This is not a good fit. It's not a loss. It's not a loss. You're actually doing that student, that family justice so they can go somewhere else and get the service they believe they need that you're not offering, right? You got to be willing to fire parents. And people say that all the time. You have to be willing to do that. But as I'm sharing the yin to the yang of that, for me, is being ever mindful that no relationship is perfect, that no CRM system's perfect, that, I want to be extremely mindful of that. And as I negotiate that space and I move through those spaces, the most important thing for me is to have me, is to be balanced, is to be whole, is to be good with me. Because if I'm not good with me, it's just a bad day. It's always going to be a bad day, because I'm always second guessing. I'm always starting and stopping, starting and stopping. You've got to trust yourself. You're the leader of the band, you're the visionary. But how do you truly learn to trust yourself? By going out there and making choices, making mistakes, living with your mistakes, pivoting, adapting. That's where it comes from. It doesn't come from running to Brannon Beliso, and then when it doesn't work with Brannon Beliso, you run over to this consultant, you run over to that consultant, and when none of it works, you come to realize it's because you don't work. Are you willing to do that? I do it every day. I blame nobody for my failures. I give a lot of people, kudos for my success. That's it. Because as I share, 99% of what goes wrong in my business is my fault. The other 10% that goes wrong in my business is my fault. And if I'm willing to do that, then it's not a big deal. It's not to be, I'm too busy in living in the solution to live in the problem. The challenge I witness is so many people spend all their energy living in the problem versus spending their time, energy, and resources on the solution. Fair enough? Fair enough. All right. So get those last minute questions in before we wrap up the show. And if anybody new has come aboard, please put in your name, where you're tuning in from, all that good stuff. Because as we shared, we're going to give away an hour of consulting with me, 1 hour. And if anything, we'll catch up. We'll do a tune up. As I reflect on this year, I was looking at it today. We're hoping to do 2 million this year, and it looks like we're coming in at 1.95. Which isn't horrible, God, which isn't horrible, but at least we had a goal. You see what I'm saying? How's the saying go? If I shoot for the stars and I miss, at least I'll land amongst the heaven. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have some kind of vision of what it is you want to achieve, how do you know where you're going to? You don't. You just get in a car and you drive. Seems like you're doing it, you're moving, but where are you really going? Nowhere. Again, unless that's your version of success, year in and year out, 100 students, well, more like 75 to 100, decade after decade, then you're that person. You're simply doing stuff, but you're not moving that needle, right? We always talk about moving that needle. Well, what do you want that needle to go to? 100 students, 200? What do you want that needle to go to? $3 million net worth, $5 million net worth? Where do you want that needle to go to? Losing 10 pounds or just methodically, eating any way you want? You know what I mean? So for me, I'm very clear about that. And it was $2 million. I wanted to be back to pre COVID numbers, and we're close. When you're doing 1.9 million, well, we're going to 1.95, I think. Who knows? We might end up at two. You never know, as we got 2 more days left. That my mindset of being grateful is real important, right? I had that conversation with Sam and he said, well, are you happy with this amount of profit? I said, I'm grateful. I grew up on welfare and food stamps. So if I make $100 off a stock in a day, I'm a happy guy. If I make 10,000 off a stock in a day, I'm a happy guy. Right? Either way, I'm happy because of who I am. Money is just a tool. Money is a vehicle. But if I let money define my happiness, if I let a good day on the stock market determine my happiness versus a bad day, or a good day in my business versus a bad day, I'm never going to be happy. Happiness is something I cultivate inside myself on a daily basis. And it changes. Happiness for me today is supporting my son and daughter. She loves soccer, he loves basketball. I spend a lot of money and time, investing in his basketball career. There you go. I mean, so what makes you happy? It makes me happy to be here with you today when I was going to do a rerun, but I wanted to really just connect with you guys again. I wanted to be with you on the last day or so of the year, right? And tell you everything's cool, but please pay attention. I really believe, and I said this in 2023, and some people said, you were wrong. I do believe 2024 is going to have its challenges. As I shared, we're at an all-time high of spending. So consumer things look good, right? But we're at an all-time high of credit card debt. They reinstated the student loan thing, and something like 94% did not make that loan payment they were supposed to make, on their student loans. So be mindful of that. And so what does that mean? Your business is going to fail? No. That means you need to invest double, triple down on the relationships you currently have in your schools. So you're of so much value. There is no way a family's going to think of leaving you, right? They'll go without Starbucks. They'll go without that extra movie. They'll go out without that extra Uber Eats, extra restaurant, because there is no way they're going to take martial arts out of their kid's life. And the only way that's ever going to happen is if people believe in what you do. And we witnessed that in the pandemic. Yes, we lost 250 students, but we had 750 follow us into virtual, follow us into parking lots to help sustain us. That was crazy. And my level of gratitude, it's been 10x since then. So the best investment you can make right now for 2024, number one, Invest heavier into your current student base. Give more value than you ever have. Now we have a tuition increase. We do it every year, cost of living, right? But we're adding more value. We're revamping our curriculum. We're adding more retention events, not lead generating events, retention events, right? We're going to make the whole experience better, 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 so that you realize what you pay us for, you get a lot more value. And then from there, word of mouth marketing is going to be huge. Keeping your schools up, a coat of paint goes a long, long way. As you saw, we revamped the waiting areas of both our locations. We added a TV. We did a couple of things. Any kind of, it's like spring cleaning. Replace those crappy pads. Do the little things that people recognize, right? Do the little things that people recognize. And until you make that investment, I drive 2.5 hours twice a week for my BJJ instruction. See, I truly believe in my instructor in this gym. There you go, Letitia. She drives 2.5 hours to train in BJJ. Not a lot of people would do that. That's what I'm saying. If you believe you go the extra mile, if you believe you make the sacrifice, this is what this is all about. The best question is, do people believe in you? First of all, in your school. Then do they believe in you in your community? One of my clients do no community-based marketing. And I said, that needs to change. Because if all you do, like McDonald's or whatever, is you use social media ads and stuff like that, you're just another consumer product. And it's a relationship of buying. If it becomes a relationship of investment that you believe in each other, that's when things truly, truly, truly change. We had a family flyout from Philadelphia that left during the pandemic that trained virtually. And we stayed with that kid virtually. He was the only one. So he could fly out here and test for his black belt a couple of weeks ago. Those are relationships, right? Because we haven't done virtual in a while now. And to do things like that when the relationship takes precedence is priority. We had a mom that was struggling financially. We scholarship both her kids. I wouldn't take it any other way. Boom, within a month she got a job. They're back on board. You know, the relationship has to take priority. People above profits, service above self. All those things I talk about that people think I'm some crazy kumbaya tree hug in California. No, I'm not. I know my numbers. I know how much money is in the bank. I know how much money I made today. Make no mistake of that. But if you can do it based upon purpose and you use money as a tool versus as your reason for hurting people and getting over and taking them to court on some BS contract, then life changes. Everything is here. Because at the end of the day, rich person, poor person, you go in the ground the same freaking way. The same way. So I'm going to encourage you, establish that type of business and success on all levels, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially can be yours. Cool. All right. So let's wrap up this big dog, Marco. I don't see any other questions coming through there. You pick our winner for us. Okay, Marco. I hope you put in your name where you're tuning in from and the name of your school so that you can be in our drawing. I'm giving away 1 hour consultation. 1 hour consultation. We have It's Time Live Canada coming up, right? That is May 24th through 28th. Yep. And there's only 20 spots. Again, I'm going to post that tonight. We don't have all the details, but please make your purchase now. That way you get the tax write-off for 2023. Do you like that, Letitia? We also have It's Time Life Purpose. That's coming up November 9th through 12th. Again, get the tax write-off. Invest in yourself now. When people call me up on Friday and say, I want to fly out for the event Sunday, I'm just shaking my head like this because success is something you plan for. It's not a knee-jerk reaction that you decide at the 11th hour to do, right? And you should have budgeted for It's Time Live, not just sit there and randomly take a credit card and then pay interest on it. You budget for these things. A certain amount of your budget should be towards your personal development. Long story short. Cool. I want to thank my sponsors, in 2023, 2022. They've been with me a long time. TUSA, formerly Vision, Martial Arts Supply Market, Muscles, My Studio, Kids Live Life Skills, LC Accounting, all great company. But even better than that, all great people that are constantly learning, constantly gaining knowledge, and ultimately the wisdom that comes with being a legacy business, a business that survives 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15. That's what I'm about. Companies come and go, right? They're calling those I don't know, fly by night companies, whatever the bad name is for it. These are not those companies. So I encourage you, partner with them and you will see your businesses grow. But make no mistake, you got to do the work. Got to do the freaking work. All right. So I want to say thank you to everybody. It's my last show of the year. I will see you next week. And as we come into 2024, last piece of mindset I'm going to leave you with. Every night at midnight, I say to myself, Happy New Year, right? Every day is a new day. Every game is a new game. And as I told my son, the score is always what? 0-0. I don't care if I'm up by 50 points or if I'm down by 50 points. I play the game of life like the score is 0-0. Why? It's an even playing field. And I always have the chance to come back, I always have the chance to excel. And the end to the end of that, if I think I'm up 50-0, sit back on my laurels, become that fat cat, right? And that's when you lose. It's easier to get to the top of the mountain, harder to stay there, right? Dalai Lama said that. It's easy to be great for a day, easy to be great for a week, it's easy to be great for a month, but to be great day in and day out consistently, that's how you grow your life and your business. And if you look with me, consistently, I am the person I always say I am. I walk my talk. I am who I am. I don't partner with people that say, look at me, I'm standing with so and so. I do what I do. I believe in what I do. And I continue to go deeper in that without ego, without narcissism and insecurity and envy and jealousy of anybody else. I do so with a very clear purpose of live your best life. That is what I do. And I continue to refine and define that. And I think it's a big earmark of my personal success. I'm not always pivoting. I'm not always changing like a chameleon to whatever trend is going on. You with me? And that's my 2023. I am Brannon Bleasel. Thank you to Marco. I love you, sir. Thanks to everybody that supports this show. If you could do one thing, pay it forward. Go tell somebody else about the show. Have them go watch, episodes at YouTube or at Spotify or Apple. Guarantee you, it'll be the best thing you could do. All right, Marco, who's our winner today? 1 hour. And then make sure we hook him up with Chris so we can get it scheduled after. Who wins our 1 hour today, Marco? Bob Poole. Oh, Bob Poole. You're the man, the myth, the legend. So hook it up, Bob. Connect with Marco and Chris. Make sure we get you scheduled in for an hour. Your goal should be to grow that school even more so. Cool, cool, cool. All right, folks. I'm Brannon Bleasel. This is Success Never Sleeps. Until we talk again, what are you going to go out there and do? Live your best life.